What's up, guys? Big Bad Wolf here, and today we are going to be talking about my strategies as far as when I am flat broke in Tarkov, down and out, and need to bounce back with some rubles. So, you know that moment when you are scrounging at the bottom of your stash to sell every random thing that you have in there so that you can kit up. That's what I'm talking about, and we're going to be going through my strategy and how I approach those situations. So, stick around. Alright, so first, guys, I want to start by saying if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Your guys' support is what keeps me going, and I greatly appreciate it. I try to keep content like this coming, so if this is a video that interests you, you like to watch gameplay, I have gameplay videos as well. They are constantly coming, so again, hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Alright, so the first tip that I have and the first thing that I focus on when I am just down and I have, nothing in my stash really that I can sell, what you need to do is prioritize surviving. Now, I know that sounds silly. You're like, obviously I try to survive every raid. And yes, you should try to survive every raid. But what I'm talking about is now that is priority number one. So if you run into a squad in the raid that you go into, you want to try to avoid them. You're not going to try to take on squads. You don't want to get into these risky gunfights. You want to try to loot as much as you can and get out with what you've looted. So again, that comes down to not taking risky gunfights, not trying to overpower a 3-man with just yourself, not trying to kill scav bosses if you have just a pistol, like things like this. So don't take the stupid gunfights, prioritize getting out, okay? So with that being said, what I have found to work best is when I am down bad. So when I have no kits in my stash, I've got to go in with like basically nothing. I am running factory raids, okay? Now, I know like this sounds pretty intuitive. Most people are like, yeah, duh, pistol factory raids. But I'm actually not running a pistol, okay? So for me, something that has changed this wipe, and it was already sort of present in wipes past, I think shotguns are better than pistols, and a lot of times they're the same price. So you can pick up a cheap shotgun from Jaeger. You can even find them. You can run your scavs, okay? That's going to obviously be a free kit if you can survive an extract with your scav. So you definitely want to be using your scav. But anyway, when you have the money and you're picking between a pistol or a shotgun, in my opinion, the shotgun is the way to go, okay? Especially this wipe. So this wipe, a few things have changed. The flea market has drastically changed. So you don't see, you can't buy tier 6 and a lot of tier 5 armors on the market anymore, and you don't see them that often in raid. It's mostly class 4. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen class 6 so far this wipe. So a lot of people are, my point here is that a lot of people are running low tier armor or mid tier armor, and they're also doing the same with their bullets, okay? So a lot of bullets are the low to mid tier bullets because, again, that's another item that you can't buy on the flea. So what I'm prioritizing is a shotgun, okay, if you can afford to get one, or if you can get one off your scav, that's what I would suggest. 2 is a mustard rig from Ragman. So if you have Ragman, I believe it's level 2, you can purchase a mustard rig from him for just about 50,000 rubles. So the mustard rig is like grossly OP for its price point in my mind, okay? So that rig like absorbs a ton of bullets. It has a pretty good health, and it's gonna do immensely well for you on factory, okay? So my go-to factory kit, if I have the funds, is the ZSH with the face shield, the mustard rig, and a shotgun, okay? And flechette if you have Jaeger leveled up high enough. So if you can get those things going, you can pretty much leg meta anybody that goes on factory, and you're probably going to be able to block every single bullet that's shot at you unless you run into Tagilla. Everyone else is typically running bottom of the barrel ammo, and they're sort of in the same situation as you. Every once in a while you run into like a beefy squad on factory, but for the most part, everyone is pretty low kitted. So if you can rock those three things, so the ZSH with the face shield, your shotgun, and the mustard rig, you're going to be almost invincible to a lot of what you'll find on factory. So again, that's my go-to kit. If you don't have enough to afford the ZSH, or you don't have Ragman leveled up and you can't afford the mustard rig, then I would just try to take the shotgun, prioritize the shotgun, go in and try to get a leg meta kill right off rip, unless you run into another Timmy who has no gear on, okay? So coming off of this, these factory raids, what you need to be doing, okay? If you get a crappy spawn, you're probably gonna have to fight. So if you get the tucked in, like the red door room, or over by the the tool set tasks, you're probably gonna get in some sort of fight there. If you don't need to fight, try to get out of there, try to kill a scav, and try to get the edges of the factory. So what I mean by that is, I would probably try to avoid offices until late raid, okay? So in the beginning, try to go to the med tent, try to go underneath, in the tunnels, and look through just the stuff that is down there that you can scrounge. You'll probably run into a few scavs along the way that you can kill and loot. So that is how I approach the beginning. Now, after you've been in there and you've scrounged the outsides of the factory, then you can go up towards the safe room after, the fights have blown over, the early raid fights. By that point, most PMCs have extracted. There's probably some bodies up there that you can loot. And what you'll want to do at that point is loot them and get out. Again, why do I like factory? Well, it's because you're spending less time on the map. And frankly, the longer you're in a map, the higher the risk of you dying. I mean, it's simple. When you're out of the raid, you have a less chance of dying. You can't die when you're out of raid, so there's no risk of you dying when you're extracted. So on factory, you can get the quickest from spawn to extract out of any map, while also getting a decent amount of loot. Now, I know, like I said, I know this might sound silly to some of you. You might be thinking, well, I want to go to the maps that have the highest, the most expensive loot, the most loot, that sort of thing. But most of those maps are going to be run by Chads, okay? So you're going to run into a lot stronger players, and they're probably going to be in those areas that you're trying to loot. You're also spending more time on those maps. So if you're going to a map like Lighthouse or like Shoreline, you're going to have to spend a lot more time getting to the extract, which exposes you to a higher risk of dying, because odds are you're going to run into a PMC somewhere along the line, and you're going to spend a lot more time in that raid. Whereas on factory, if you can come in with a shotgun, even if you die, you can run like 3 to 4 times the raids that you could do in one Shoreline raid. And that's what kills you when you're trying to get money, is that you spend a lot of time on these raids. You may even get a bunch of loot, and you're on your way to the extract, and you die on your way to the extract. So you're not being as efficient with your raids, okay? Those raids are fine when you can match the gear set of the other PMCs, when you find yourself, better situated as far as money goes, and better kitted. So again, that's my 2 cents. I would suggest avoiding the big maps when you're trying to gain money, and just sticking to factory and using your player scav, okay? You can use your player scav on those maps. That's obviously that's no problem. Those are freebies. But again, even with your player scav, you want to prioritize getting out. So if you spawn in with a player scav who has some sort of crazy piece of loot, maybe he's got an OBZ, or you spawn in with a labs card or something like that, get out with that item. Don't try to go loot everything and and get a bunch of stuff. Get out with it, secure the money that you have on you, and then go back in. And like I said, your priority number 1 is to get out when you are broke. So those are kind of things that I'm doing when I am down in Tarkov. Another thing that I see a lot of people doing is they have like nothing in their stash, but then they'll have like 4 containers, okay? You get these containers, a lot of them, you can get them from tasks, so you get an ammo crate from mechanic and things like that. If you have a found in raid case in your stash, and it is empty. It is doing you no good, okay? So prepping for the future of when you might have stuff in your stash is useless if you're down bad in Tarkov. So sell that case and just buy it back later when you've bounced back and you've got your money, okay? That goes for any case, in my opinion. You know, if you've got a scav case or a lucky scav box that's in your stash and you can sell it on the market for 1,000,000 rubles, do it. If it's empty, it's doing you no good. If you have nothing in your stash, then it is doing you no good. So you may as well use that money to get kitted, and then once you've made enough money, then you can re-buy it back. So again, that is my suggestion as far as the cases go, because I see that all the time. I see a ton of people who are broken in Tarkov, and then they go into the raid and like they're trying to scrounge for stuff while they have all these cases in their stash. Like, sell those cases. They're not doing anything for you right now. So again, that's my 2 cents. I see that a lot. I was guilty of it a couple wipes back. I've since, like, really last wipe, I started like just selling every case I got when I didn't need it, until my stash started getting full and I started accumulating more rubles. Then I would start buying those cases and doing the barters for them. And then when they're found in raid, a lot of times you can buy them from the vendors or barter for them from the vendors for cheaper than you can sell them on the market. So you may as well sell them on the market. Even if you're not broke, you may as well sell them on the market, pocket the difference, and then just use the, you know, you go for the barter trade so that you can pocket that difference. So again, that's another thing that I wanted to note to you guys, and a piece of advice that I would suggest is that, you know, sell those cases that aren't doing you any good. So other than that, I mean, it's really just a grind. Again, you just got to prioritize surviving. Don't take the stupid fights. Play factory, get in and out, get a couple good things. If you spawn in as a player scav and you have good loot on you, get the heck out of there, sell that item, and then go back in with your PMC. And like I said before, shotguns are the way to go, in my opinion, when you're broke, because they're so cheap to use. The ammo is cheap, and if you can afford the mustard rig and you can afford the ZSH, rock those. That's going to give you a huge edge on factory, and you'll probably be able to pull 3 kits, 4 kits in a raid on factory, because you will just absolutely overpower any player that's in there. Even I have even run into beefier players on factory while using my shotgun with flechette, and just still dominated them, because that kit is so strong. All you need to do is shoot those legs. And I know it might sound cheeky, it might sound slimy, but you're down bad, you've got to get some rubles. That's the best way that I've found to do it. So I hope this video has helped you guys out. I hope some of these tips you know, help you guys bounce back from those situations. We've all been there, whether it's beginning wipe, middle wipe, end wipe. You know, we've all had those situations where you're just flat broke, you got nothing in your stash, and it's almost like, well, crap. And this is how I approach those situations, and how I would suggest you guys do too. So again, hope you found this video helpful. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.